Hello and welcome to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast number 35. Now those of you who've listened to last week's show may well have picked up on a couple of editorial mistakes and a couple of times where I tripped over my words. Normally I would have gone back over that kind of thing and re-recorded, as I like to get things as good as I possibly can for the show. But in this instance, and as I said on the Facebook page, I really struggled with the recording. Why? Because the more time went on, the more I was choked up at the loss of such an amazing man and a wonderful character. With all of that in mind, I decided to leave the mistakes in, as for me it made the recording that much more real. One of the things that went through my mind when I'd finished recording was the question of, was it right to feel so strongly over the loss of someone I never knew and a fictional character? As some of you will know, I posted that question on the Facebook page, and here are some of the replies I received. Valerie, a new listener to the podcast, said, "No, it's called being human." Thanks for that, Valerie. James Morrell said, "The Brigadier is my favourite character of all time in Doctor Who. He's such a hero of mine. It's a shame he isn't around to see his earliest appearance of this iconic character in the recently discovered The Web of Fear. He touched millions of fans who watched him. R.I.P. Nick." And Robert Curd commented, "So many losses in the last few years. Lizzie Sladen, Caroline John, Mary Tam, the Brig, they're all part of my story too, and I treasure them. Watching the last scene from the Planet of the Spiders and knowing that no one in it was alive anymore was moving." Thanks for that, Robert. And I guess that wrapped up in the last comment something of the point that I was trying to make up. Over recent years we have lost so many wonderful contributors to Doctor Who, and the news of each of their passing has brought a tear to my eye. But for some reason the loss of Nick Courtney and the Brigadier had really had a profound effect on me. Nick brought something to the role of the Brigadier that no other actor could have done, in my opinion, and I'm so very grateful for the character he created and portrayed so well for so long. Thank you, Nicholas Courtney. And so to today's show. As I said at the end of last week's, this week we're looking at the 10th Doctor and the amazing actor who played the part, Mr. David Tennant.
I'm the Doctor. And if you don't like it, if you want to take it to a higher authority, there isn't one. It stops with me.
David Tennant, born David John MacDonald on the 18th of April 1971, is the Scottish actor known for his roles as the 10th Doctor in Doctor Who, the title role in the TV serial Casanova, and as Barty Crouch Jr. in the film Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. In addition to his appearances on screen, Tennant has worked as a voice actor and appeared in a critically acclaimed stage production of Hamlet. Tennant was born in Bathgate, West Lothian. He grew up there with his brother Blair and his sister Karen in Ralston in Renfrewshire, where his father was the local Church of Scotland minister and former moderator. His maternal great-grandparents, William and Agnes Blair, were staunch Protestants from Derry in Ulster. At the age of 3, Tennant told his parents he wanted to become an actor because he was a fan of Doctor Who, but they tried to encourage him to aim for more conventional work. He watched almost every episode of Doctor Who for years and spoke to Tom Baker at a book signing in Glasgow. Tennant says he was absurdly single-minded in pursuing an acting career. He was educated at Ralston Primary and Paisley Grammar School, where he enjoyed a fruitful relationship with English language teacher Moira Robertson, who was among the first to recognise his potential. He acted in school productions throughout primary and secondary school. Tennant's talent at this young age was spotted by actress Edith MacArthur. After seeing his first role aged 11, she told his parents that he would become a successful stage actor. Tennant also attended Saturday classes at the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama, and at 16 passed an audition for the Academy. One of their youngest students, he studied there between the ages of 17 and 20, taking his stage name from Pet Shop Boys frontman Neil Tennant, because there was another David MacDonald already on the books of the Equity Union. Tennant also gained a Bachelor of Arts in acting while at the Academy. He made his professional acting debut while still in secondary school. When he was 16, he acted in an anti-smoking film made by the Glasgow Health Board, which aired on television and was also screened in schools. The following year, he played a role in an episode of Dramarama. Tennant's first professional role on graduating from drama school was in a staging of The Resistible Rise of Arturo Ui, co-starring Ashley Jensen. Tennant also made an early television appearance in the Scottish sitcom Rab C. Nesbitt as a transsexual barmaid called Davina. In the 1990s, he appeared in several plays at the Dundee Repertory Theatre. His first major role was as the manic-depressive Campbell in the Scottish drama series Taking Over the Asylum in 1994. During filming, Tennant met comic actress and writer Arabella Weir. When he moved to London shortly afterwards, he lodged with Weir for 5 years and became godfather to her youngest child. He subsequently appeared alongside her in many productions, as a guest in her spoof television series Posh Nosh, in the Doctor Who audio drama Exile, and as panellists on the West Wing Ultimate Quiz on More 4. One of his earliest big-screen roles was in Jude in 1996, in which he shared a scene with Christopher Eccleston, playing a drunken undergraduate who challenges Eccleston's Jude to prove his intellect. Tennant developed his career in the British theatre, frequently performing with the Royal Shakespeare Company. His first Shakespearean role for the RSC was in As You Like It. Having auditioned for the role of Orlando, the romantic lead, he was instead cast as the jester Touchstone, which he played in his natural Scottish accent. He subsequently specialised in comic roles, playing Antipholus in The Comedy of Errors, and Captain Jack Absolute in The Rivals, although he also played the tragic role of Romeo in Romeo and Juliet. Tennant also contributed to several audio dramatisations of Shakespeare for the Archangel Shakespeare series in 1988. His roles included a reprisal of his Antipholus in The Comedy of Errors, as well as Lancelot Gobbo in The Merchant of Venice, and Edgar and Poor Tom in King Lear, and Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet. In 1995, Tennant appeared at the Royal National Theatre London, playing the role of Nicholas Bennett in Joe Orton's What the Butler Saw. In television, he appeared in the first episode of Reeves and Mortimer's revamped Randall and Hopkirk Deceased in 2000, playing an eccentric artist. This is one of his few TV roles in his native Scottish accent. During the Christmas season of 2002, he starred in a series of television advertisements for Boots the Chemist. Tennant then began to appear on television more prominently in 2004 and 2005, when he appeared in a dramatisation of He Knew He Was Right in 2004, Blackpool later in 2004, Casanova in 2005, and The Quatermass Experiment later on that same year. In film, he appeared in Stephen Fry's Bright Young Things in 2003 and played Barty Crouch Jr. in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in 2005.
Before I go, I just want to tell you were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And you know what? So was I.
Hello. Okay. New teeth. That's weird. So where was I? Oh, that's right. Barcelona.
Tennant replaced Ninth Doctor Christopher Eccleston as of Series 2, making his first brief appearance as the 10th Doctor in the episode The Parting of the Ways, at the end of the regeneration scene, and also appeared in a special 7-minute mini-episode shown as part of the 2005 Children in Need appeal, broadcast on the 18th of November. He began filming the new series of Doctor Who in late July 2005. His first full-length outing as the Doctor was a 60-minute special, The Christmas Invasion, first broadcast on Christmas Day 2005. Tennant had been formally offered the role of the Doctor during rehearsals for the Quatermass Experiment. Although casting wasn't officially announced until later in April, both castmates and crew became aware of the speculations surrounding Tennant, and in the live broadcast, Jason Fleming, who was playing Quatermass, changed his first line to Tennant's Dr. Briscoe from "Good to have you back, Gordon," to "Good to have you back, Doctor," as a deliberate reference. Tennant expressed enthusiasm about fulfilling his childhood dream. He remarked in a radio interview, "Who wouldn't want to be the Doctor? I've even got my own TARDIS." In 2006, readers of Doctor Who magazine voted Tennant Best Doctor over perennial favourite Tom Baker. In 2007, Tennant's Doctor was voted the coolest character on television in a Radio Times survey. When Tennant was cast as Eccleston's successor, he had wanted to use his native Scottish accent and become the first kilted Doctor. According to an interview in the Daily Star, that is, but writer Russell T Davies didn't want the Doctor's accent touring the regions, so he used estuary English instead. Tennant was, however, able to use his Scottish accent during his time on the series, when the Doctor briefly masquerades as Dr. Jamie McCrimmon of Edinburgh in Tooth and Claw. Tennant had previously had a small role in the BBC's animated Doctor Who webcast Scream of the Shalka. Not originally cast in the production, he happened to be recording a radio play in a neighbouring studio when he discovered what was being recorded next door and managed to convince the director to give him a small role. This personal enthusiasm for the series has also been expressed by his participation in several audio plays based on the Doctor Who television series, which had been produced by Big Finish Productions, although he didn't play the Doctor in any of these productions. His first such role was in the 7th Doctor audio Colditz, where he played Nazi Lieutenant Guard Kurtz. In the 2004, Tennant played a lead role in the Big Finish audio play series Dalek Empire 3. He played the part of Galanar, a young man who's given an assignment to discover the secrets of the Daleks. In 2005, he starred in Unit the Wasting, recreating his role of Brimacon Wood from a previous Doctor Who Unbound play, Sympathy for the Devil. In both of these audio productions, Tennant worked alongside Doctor Who alumnus Nicholas Courtney, who had reprised his character of the Brigadier. Tennant also played an unnamed Time Lord in another Doctor Who Unbound play, Exile. He also played the title role in Big Finish's adaptation of Brian Talbot's The Adventures of Luther Arkwright in 2005. In 2006, he recorded abridged audiobooks of The Stone Rose, The Feast of the Drowned, and The Resurrection Casket for BBC Worldwide. He made his directorial debut on the Doctor Who Confidential episode that accompanies Stephen Moffat's episode, Blink, entitled Do You Remember the First Time?, which aired on the 9th of June 2007. In 2007, Tennant's Doctor appeared with Peter Davison's 5th Doctor in a Doctor Who special for children in need, written by Stephen Moffat and entitled Time Crash. Tennant also later performed alongside Davison's daughter, Georgia Moffat, in the 2008 episode The Doctor's Daughter. He also featured as the Doctor in an animated version of Doctor Who for Totally Doctor Who, The Infinite Quest, which aired on CBBC. He went on to star as the Doctor in another animated 6-part Doctor Who series, Dreamland. Tennant guest starred as the Doctor in a 2-part story in the Sarah Jane Adventures, broadcast in October 2009. He continued to play the 10th Doctor in the revived programme's 4th series in 2008. However, on October the 29th, 2008, Tennant announced that he would be stepping down from the role after 3 full series. He played the Doctor in 4 specials in 2009 before his final episode aired on the 1st of January 2010. The BBC announced on March the 30th, 2013 that Tennant and Piper would be returning to Doctor Who for the 50th anniversary special alongside Matt Smith and companion Jenna Louise Coleman. While playing the Doctor, Tennant was also in the early December 2005 ITV drama Secret Smile. His performances as Jimmy Porter in Look Back in Anger at the Theatre Royal Bath and the Lyceum Theatre Edinburgh were recorded by the National Video Archive of Performance for the Victoria and Albert Museum Theatre Collection. He revived this performance for the anniversary of the Royal Court Theatre in a rehearsed reading. In January 2006, he took a one-day break from shooting Doctor Who to play Richard Hogarth in a dramatisation of the 1960 Lady Chatterley's lover obscenity trial, The Chatterley Affair. On the 25th of February 2007, Tennant starred in Recovery, a 90-minute BBC One drama written by Tony Marchant. Tennant played Alan, a self-made building site manager who attempted to rebuild his life after suffering a debilitating brain injury. His co-star in the drama was friend Sarah Parish, with whom he'd previously appeared in Blackpool and an episode of Doctor Who. Later in 2007, he starred in Learners, a BBC comedy drama written by and starring Jessica Hines, another Doctor Who co-star, in which he played a Christian driving instructor who became the object of a student's affection. Learners was broadcast on BBC One on the 11th of November 2007. Tennant also had a cameo appearance as the Doctor in the 2007 finale episode of the comedy series Extras alongside Ricky Gervais. In November 2008, he played Sir Arthur Eddington in the biopic Einstein and Eddington. In 2009, he worked on a TV film version of the Royal Shakespeare's 2008 Hamlet for BBC Two. From October 2009, he hosted the Masterpiece Contemporary Programming strand on the American Public Broadcasting Service. In December 2009, he filmed the lead in an NBC pilot, Rex is Not Your Lawyer, playing Rex, a Chicago lawyer who starts to coach clients to represent themselves when he starts suffering panic attacks. However, the pilot was not picked up and the project was shelved. In October 2010, he starred as Dave, a man struggling to raise 5 children after the death of his partner, in the British drama Single Father. For this role, he was nominated as Best Actor at the Royal Television Society Programme Awards 2010. In 2011, he starred in the BBC Two British TV film United, which tells the story of the Manchester United Busby Babes team and the 1958 Munich air disaster, playing coach and assistant manager Jimmy Murphy. In September 2011, he appeared in a guest role in one episode of the comedy series This Is Jinsey, and also started filming True Love, a semi-improvised BBC One drama series. That series aired in June 2012. In April 2012, Tennant played the lead in a one-off drama, The Minor Character, for Sky Arts. Between April and June, he filmed Spies of Warsaw for BBC 4 in the lead role of Jean-Francois Mercier. Tennant auditioned for the role of Hannibal Lecter in NBC's Hannibal. He was narrowly beaten, however, for the part by Mads Mikkelsen, but the show developer Brian Fuller has indicated that he was sufficiently impressed by Tennant that he would like to cast him in another role in the series. On the 9th of June 2012, he started filming the 3-part political drama series The Politician's Husband for the BBC Two, playing an ambitious cabinet minister who takes drastic action when his wife's career starts to outshine his. Also in June of that year, it was announced that Tennant would star in the new ITV detective series Broadchurch. The series was filmed between August and November 2012 and aired in March this year. Tennant also presented the new comedy quiz show Comedy World Cup in the autumn of 2012, which ran on Saturday nights for 7 episodes. Between late January and March 2013, Tennant filmed The Escape Artist for BBC One. He played Will Burton, a talented junior barrister who specialises in spiriting people out of legal corners. Tennant was the star in a reasonably priced car on Top Gear in December 2007, where he claimed to have unsuccessfully auditioned for a role on Taggart 26 times. He's also the voice behind the 2007 advertising campaign for catalogue retailer Argos, and appeared in adverts for the Proclaimers 2007 advert and Learn Direct in 2008, and has also lent his voice to adverts for Tesco Mobile, Nintendo Wii, American Express and Virgin Television products.
This is your one chance. Because if you don't call this off, then I'll have to stop you.
But what of the 10th Doctor himself? The 10th Doctor generally displays a light-hearted, talkative, easy-going, witty and cheeky manner, but repeatedly demonstrates a vengeful and unforgiving streak as well. This emerged early on, when he sends the Sycorax leader falling to his death, while commenting that, with him, there are no second chances. In School Reunion, he acknowledges that he's less merciful than he used to be, and has stuck to his one warning code, punishing his enemies if they persist in their hostilities. That's demonstrated in The Runaway Bride, when he drowns the Empress of Rachnos' children and stoically watches on, prompting Donna Noble to declare that he needs somebody to stop him. And in The Family of Blood, where he gives each family member an individual and eternal punishment. His strong personal sense of justice makes him quick to anger when he feels it's violated, as in New Earth. When he learns of the plague farm run by the Sisters of Plenitude, he brings their entire operation down. When the Prime Minister Harriet Jones gives an order to destroy the retreating Sycorax ship against his intentions, he brings down her government in 6 words. Don't you think she looks tired? Which reaches the press via her assistant's headset. In The Waters of Mars, he goes as far as to declare himself above the laws of time, although there are catastrophic consequences as a result. This, coupled however with an intense sense of regret at the deaths of both his friends and enemies. In Journey's End, he has a flashback of those who've died instead of or for him, including Astrid Peth, Jenny, Luke Rattigan, Linda Moss, and the hostess from Midnight. He also offers Davros the chance to escape the destruction of the Dalek Crucible, but Davros spits the chance back at him, saying,
"Never forget, Doctor! You did this! I name you forever! You are the destroyer of worlds!"
A recurring line on the part of the 10th Doctor is his saying,
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
for actions he takes, even as he takes them. The loss of his companions and people he befriended becomes a sensitive issue, and a mere mention may trigger a sudden outburst of anger without warning. In The Doctor's Daughter, he explains to Jenny how killing infects, and once it does, you never get rid of it, and that the worst part of it was that he became clever, reflecting on his involvement in the Time War and witnessing the destruction of his own kind, friends and enemies. The 10th Doctor also has a tendency to babble, mixing apparent nonsense with vital information, sometimes acting erratically to put his enemies off guard. He's prone to making comments that to outsiders seem obtuse or rude, sometimes to his own embarrassment. In The Christmas Invasion and Tooth and Claw, he's surprised at his own unintentional rudeness when making disparaging remarks, and Jack Harkness, after reuniting with the Doctor, notes that this new regeneration is kinda cheeky. He has a tendency to use technobabble to describe scientific concepts before substituting it with simpler, analogous explanation, such as his description of non-linear temporal physics.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
He's also able to rapidly switch between moods, from mania to anger to nonchalance, and uses this as a form of reverse psychology on several occasions. In Army of Ghosts, for example, by switching gears suddenly after failing to dissuade Yvonne Hartman from her current activities, he's able to make her uncertain enough to get his way. Another recurring theme in the 10th Doctor's stories is his intense loneliness. In School Reunion, he describes the ability of the Time Lords to live so long as a curse, because while his human companions all someday leave him or eventually die, he continues to live. He also commented to several of his female companions, especially Rose and Donna, that while they may spend the rest of their lives with him, he is unable to do so with them due to his ability to regenerate. Other characters have also commented on the 10th Doctor's loneliness. During a conversation with his nemesis the Master, he admits that since the end of the Time War and the loss of the other Time Lords, he has been alone ever since. Indeed, when the Master subsequently dies, the Doctor openly weeps over his body. In the end of time, he ultimately ends up regenerating in the TARDIS alone, despite visits to his past companions during his dying hours. The 10th Doctor is more extroverted and gregarious than his predecessor, quickly establishing a firmer rapport with Rose Tyler's friends and family than he ever did in his previous incarnation. He's openly fond of mankind, and is apparently in awe of their tenacity and curiosity, a trait previously exhibited by the 4th Doctor. In The Impossible Planet, he hugs the leader of an Earth expedition for daring to explore a planet orbiting a black hole merely because it was there. In The Age of Steel, he describes human beings as both brilliant and stupid in the same sentence, while arguing the necessity of emotions with the cyber controller. The Doctor even goes so far as to explain that he's willing to battle the Master across the cosmos so long as he leaves Earth alone in The Sound of Drums. However, he's also quick to criticise mankind when he feels it's necessary. Indeed, his confidence in the human race becomes far less pronounced in later series, and at the end of Midnight, he is left speechless after witnessing the steps that humans can become willing to take when placed in a threatening situation. The 2006 series continued the exploration of the Doctor's romantic aspects, with the 10th Doctor sharing kisses with Rose and Madame de Pompadour. In School Reunion, Sarah Jane all but confesses that she'd been in love with him. In Doomsday, during their farewell, Rose tells the Doctor she loves him, and he begins to reply, but manages only to say her name before the transmission is cut off, leaving him alone in the TARDIS with tears running down his cheeks. After this, whenever he's reminded of Rose, he sometimes becomes depressed or pensive. Later in Series 4, Rose returns for the series finale, and finishes up with the Meta-Crisis Doctor, who is human and thus able to spend the rest of his life with her. In Series 3, the Doctor gradually learns that Martha harbours feelings for him, which he inadvertently inspired by kissing her as a distraction. and also exchanges kisses with Astrid in honour of an old tradition from her home planet. But there really seems to be an intense connection and like for each other. Following the complications with Martha, for which he blames himself, the Doctor seems reluctant to embark on any other potentially romantic companionship, and makes sure that before allowing her to join him, Donna understands that all he wants is a friend. In keeping with this, when he's poisoned in The Unicorn and the Wasp and asks Donna to give him a shock of some kind, kissing him proves to be so out of character for her that it's sufficient to trigger the detox process. The 10th Doctor sometimes dons a pair of glasses, like the 5th Doctor, whose youthful appearance he shares. In the 2007 Children in Need special Time Crash, the 10th Doctor notes other inherited or inspired tendencies when meeting the 5th Doctor, aside from the brainy specs, such as wearing trainers, and both of their voices becoming high-pitched when shouting. He also exhibits a remarkable sense of taste, and is able to identify the blood type of a blood sample in the Christmas Invasion, or the presence of mistletoe oil in Tooth and Claw, just by licking. He also shares the 5th Doctor's skill with a cricket ball, as demonstrated in Human Nature. The 10th Doctor speaks with an estuary English accent, rather than the Greater Manchester accent that the 9th Doctor used, the received pronunciation of most earlier Doctors, or David Tennant's own natural Scottish accent. In an interview on BBC Radio 1, Tennant explained that a line had been scripted for the Christmas special, explaining that the newly regenerated Doctor had imprinted on Rose Tyler's accent like a chick hatching from an egg, but the line was cut from the final programme. The 10th Doctor has displayed a flexibility in changing accents, having spoken in a Highland Scottish accent in Tooth and Claw. Like the 9th Doctor, the 10th Doctor used his sonic screwdriver quite often. This Doctor relied heavily on the device and chided his 5th incarnation for going hands-free in Time Crash, a reference to the 5th Doctor's loss of the device in The Visitation. This reliance came to a head when the screwdriver was burnt out in Smith & Jones, having been pushed past its limits in order to boost the radiation output of an X-ray machine. However, he does obtain another sonic screwdriver by the end of the episode. Much as the 9th Doctor frequently declared things fantastic, this Doctor also has a favoured certain phrase on various occasions, such as allons-y. I've always wanted to say that in context. This was first used in Army of Ghosts, where the Doctor stated that he should say it more often, and that he would love to meet someone called Alonzo, so that he could say, allons-y, Alonzo. Eventually, of course, doing so in Voyage of the Damned with Midshipman Alonzo Frame. In addition, he often clarifies his own mistakes by beginning with an elongated, well... Like his predecessor, the 10th Doctor also shows a fondness for human popular culture, a characteristic not all of his previous incarnations seem to share, but even more so to the point where he finds himself unknowingly quoting the song Circle of Life from Disney's The Lion King in a confrontation with the Sycorax leader, dropping a reference to Kylie Minogue's Never Too Late, referring to the Harry Potter books twice during an encounter with William Shakespeare, and proclaiming his fighting of the Sycorax leader while wearing pyjamas as very Arthur Dent. The Doctor complains that his 10th incarnation isn't ginger. In fact, he wears his own brown hair in various ways throughout the series. Unstyled in the Christmas Invasion, a 1950s style quiff in The Idiot's Lantern, and flattened forwards in The Runaway Bride. He generally wears either a dark brown or blue pinstriped 4-button suit, a shirt and tie, a light brown overcoat and different coloured trainers depending on the suit. According to an interview on Parkinson, David Tennant and Russell T Davies got the idea for the 10th Doctor's costume from an outfit that Jamie Oliver had worn on Parkinson just after Tennant had taken the role. David Tennant has commented that he would vary the combination of buttons he fastened on his jacket in different episodes. Another part of the Doctor's costume is a pair of dark tortoiseshell rectangular frame glasses. Worn since the Christmas Invasion, he then wears them on numerous further occasions, and has also worn a pair of 3D glasses. Like his predecessor, the 10th Doctor would shave his face, something that sarcastically he told his 5th incarnation he would be doing by the time he became the 10th Doctor. The 9th Doctor regenerates into the 10th Doctor at the climax of the 2005 series finale Parting of the Ways. He reintroduces himself to his companion Rose Tyler in an untitled Children in Need mini-episode. In the Christmas special, he is in a comatose state for most of the episode following his regeneration, After eventually waking up, he defeats the alien Sycorax and saves the Earth. In the process, he loses a hand, which regrows owing to his recent regeneration. Amongst other 2006 series adventures, the Doctor and Rose save Queen Victoria from a werewolf, resulting in the creation of the Torchwood Institute. The Doctor also shares an adventure with two former companions, Sarah Jane Smith and K9, before taking on Rose's boyfriend Mickey as a longer-term second companion. The series finale takes place in contemporary London, where modern-day Torchwood is the scene for a war between the Daleks and the Cybermen. Saving the Earth costs the Doctor Rose, who is stranded in a parallel universe along with Mickey and her mother in the story Doomsday. In the closing scene of Doomsday, a mysterious bride inexplicably appears in the TARDIS. The 2006 Christmas special sees the Doctor and bride-to-be Donna Noble save the Earth, and Donna saved the Doctor from going too far in his revenge against the Rachnos, but she declines his offer to join him. In the 2007 series, the Doctor takes on Martha Jones as his new companion. Together they witness the mysterious face of Bo prophesy to the Doctor that
You are not alone.
They're rejoined by Jack in a 3-episode adventure where the presumed deceased archenemy and fellow Time Lord, the Master, has become Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and enslaves the Doctor for a year. The Doctor's escape plan sees him infused with the world's psychic energies, and he defeats the Master, who refuses to regenerate after being gunned down by his human wife and dies in the Doctor's arms. Following this adventure, Jack and Martha both depart the TARDIS, and the Doctor is shocked to see what appears to be the Titanic crashing into it. The 2007 Christmas special sees the Doctor and Astrid Peth save the Earth from the impending crash of the starship Titanic. In this story, while Astrid dies heroically, the Doctor encounters Wilfred Mott for the first time. In the 2008 series premiere, Partners in Crime, the Doctor is reunited with Donna Noble, Mott's granddaughter, who becomes his regular companion. In Planet of the Ood, the alien Ood prophesy the 10th Doctor's demise. Before that, however, Martha accompanies them for 3 episodes. In 2, the Doctor battles the Sontarans, and the 3rd sees him become a father of sorts to Jenny, in The Doctor's Daughter. He then meets archaeologist and future companion River Song for the first time, at least from his perspective, in the 2-part story Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. She dies, but he restores her consciousness to a hard drive to live on forever, after accepting that one day she will come to mean a lot to him. After Donna encounters Rose in an alternative timeline in Turn Left, the Doctor realises that it must herald the end of the world. In finale episodes The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, the Doctor and Donna reunite with former companions Rose, Sarah Jane, Martha, Jack and Mickey to save the universe from Davros. In the same story, the Meta-Crisis Doctor is created from the Doctor's previously severed hand, and Donna is given the mind of a Time Lord. The human Doctor enjoys a happy ending with Rose in the parallel universe, though the Doctor is forced to erase Donna's memories to save her life, once more leaving him alone. In the Christmas special The Next Doctor, the Doctor mistakenly believes he's met a later incarnation of himself in an amnesiac Londoner, with whom he saves Victorian-era London. Planet of the Dead features jewel thief Lady Christina D'Souza as the Doctor's one-off companion, and the Doctor is presented with a prophecy of his imminent death. The Doctor then makes a crossover appearance in the Sarah Jane adventure 2-parter The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith, in which a powerful being known as the Trickster also alludes to the Doctor's impending demise. In The Waters of Mars, the Doctor tries to alter history and avert the death of one-off companion Adelaide Brooke, but when she commits suicide, he begins to feel his mortality weighing down on him. In the animated serial Dreamland, the Doctor is joined by 2 one-off companions in 1950s Roswell, New Mexico. In the 10th Doctor's 2-part End of Time, the Doctor confronts the Ood about their original prophecy, and is led to contemporary Earth, where in the 2nd part the resurrected Master restores Gallifrey and the Time Lords to existence, although later he redeems himself by assisting the Doctor to defeat the Time Lord President Rassilon before disappearing along with the other Time Lords. The Doctor sacrifices his life to save Wilfred Mott, exposing himself to 500,000 rads of deadly radiation, triggering his regeneration. He does, however, hold it back, and is shown visiting several companions. He gives Donna a winning lottery ticket on her wedding day, buying it with money he borrowed from her late father in the past. He saves Martha and Mickey from a Sontaran sniper and Sarah Jane's son Luke from being run down by a car. He then introduces Jack to a romantic interest, and finally, just before regenerating, he informs Rose back in 2005 that she's about to have a great year. He then begins regenerating, with his last words,
I don't want to go.
Of course, we all now know that Ten and Rose will be appearing in The Day of the Doctor, and I have to say I'm looking forward to seeing him back. Yes, of course, there'll be the usual bring him back permanently from the fangirls that don't quite get the whole regeneration thing, I'm sure, but to those concerned I would say be happy for what we have here and look forward to the future.
Look, sorry, I've got a bit of a complex life. Things don't always happen to me in quite the right order. It gets a bit confusing at times, especially at weddings. I'm rubbish at weddings. It's pushing my own.
And that's all we have time for this week. As always, if you have any feedback on the podcast or any thoughts about other characters that you'd like me to take a look at, you can contact me at respectthething@outlook.com. While I'm on the subject of feedback, if any of you are also subscribing to the podcast on iTunes, I'd be grateful if you could leave me a review and a rating. If you do, though, please be sure to let me know on the Facebook page, Theta Sigma's Doctor Who Podcasts, so that I can thank you. Next week, we'll be taking an in-depth look at one of the Doctor's scariest enemies, the Cybermen. Now, why do I say that they are one of the most scary enemies? Well, you'll have to tune in to find out. So until then...
Well, goodbye, my boy. You did quite well. Quite well. It's reassuring to know that my future is in safe hands.
Thank you for listening to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all copyright and property of the BBC, and no infringement is intended.